I wish Terry got the help he needed. I wonder where he'd be now if he was still here. He'll always be an icon of mine. He was as ingenious as he was misunderstood. As a homeless man, everyone walked by him like he was nothing, subhuman, a nobody. That difference in titles, that difference in ownership, that false sense instilled into our minds, as if we can own anything else other than ourselves. Such delusion, holding high as the true deciding factor in the being we perceive when we look through to one another, no longer an equal, but an example to further solidify, out of sight, out of mind. That's just the way it is, they say, yet another excuse for laziness, another blissful surrender to regain that sense of immaturity. Truth is, any one of us could wind up the same someday, sometime, someplace, if the events play out just right, even if you try your best to keep from it. In reality, you have no control over anything, including yourself if free will turns out to be non-existent, in which we will never be able to fully prove nor disprove, and for good reasoning. The same goes for anything else as well, for subjectivity through ignorance is the entire purpose for this eloquent, divine structuring, this beautiful architecture that is laid before us, in which we have the ability, the gift to be able to bathe in it, to be able to appreciate it. The only real control you can gain in this hierarchy, the seemingly infinite tree, is to accept you have no control whatsoever. That is where true control, true peace lies. I show these pictures of Terry as still images intentionally. A lack of animation, no life left. Because, like the rest of us, he was a song sung once and never again. That's how it's supposed to be, and it's beautiful in such a way. Whereas death is the limiter, the threshold of the amount of seconds we have bestowed, which essentially gives an infinite value to each and every one of those seconds. We tend to take things and set a price tag on them, a certain number to determine its use, its value, its meaning towards us, which is all entirely subjective. But in reality, as I see it, everything has infinite value. Infinite value, the potential for infinite value at least, because we are the true deciding factor of how much value it truly has, because we are the perceivers. We are the boundary. We are not the boundary, the bridge. We're the bridge. We're the pen between the author and the paper. We are what permits reality, because it is through that subjectivity, brought about through ignorance, perpetual ignorance, might I add, that we may forever be able to choose our own meaning, or at least have the illusion of doing so. But either way, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is what you make matter. Pretty much. Quite literally. But, what I see to be a beautiful way to spend this delicate time we have here on this floating rock is to be able to fully appreciate the beauty and the structure that lies before us, as I speak on so often, how it's so intricately designed, how there's so many fail-safes put into place, paradoxes, for example. I'm writing a book. Well, I say I'm writing a book, but really I've just been adding entries to later refine into a book. But it's over 300 pages now, and a lot of which I actually say in audio logs like this, and a lot of them I do make public, or at least unlisted, just so in case anything were to happen to me that someone could come back and listen to them, and, wouldn't need to, get into my account somehow, it's not necessary, just might as well put it up there, because, I think honesty is one of the greatest things as well. It's just so rejuvenating. It's freedom, really. because all these other societal, norms and constructs put in place to instill the fact that you have to restrict yourself, you have to keep yourself from spewing out what you really mean. But I think if we all did that, that would be, I think in the end, if we all really just said up front, because usually when people just lie, it just delays, it postpones the bringing of the truth, it just, eventually it comes out, and if it doesn't, then it's not real, I mean, it is, but it isn't, it's, why withhold the truth? Why withhold it when really it's silly not to just say so. It's silly not to just put it out there. We are this network after all. And although words are not perfect, words can only approximate our true feelings or true desires. It's the best we got, We're not directly linked as far as we can tell, because we can't see beyond the filter of reality. You can't see what lies beyond or behind the universe, the curtains, however you want to put it, for good reason. Once again, can't prove or disprove anything, which gives about the overall ability to be forever subjective, but or for as long as we know, anyways. But it's what we do. We give our best shot. That's all we ever really can do, is what we think is our best shot, at least. That's what science is. That's what all of these different, practices, all these different systems put in place so that we can try and keep ourselves, to keep trying to go forward, keep trying to discover more, innovate, be able to find something through something already laid down like logic itself, but we don't even know if logic is objective beyond the scope of our reality. We don't know really anything. We just think we know. All we may ever know is that we truly know nothing, But, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. But we try anyways. And we have politics, political science to govern ourselves, because even we are volatile in a sense, but, brings about that dilemma once again, where it's like everything can be seemingly calculatable down to the smallest fraction, the smallest unit, in which the smallest unit pretty much is a tiny everything and a tiny nothing. It's a 1 and a 0 pretty much, exactly the same as binary, because of duality, because of that contrast. One thing cannot exist without this contrast, hence why binary is so strong as well with that aspect. Not only because it's, space sufficient or whatever, and it's vast and it's the smallest unit we can do, but it's also pretty much an analogy for the smallest unit of everything, essentially, because with everything there's a nothing, and even nothing counts as an everything. But if you step outside of those terms, if you think of everything and nothing but the concept of it existing as well, would that also dictate that duality is still in place, just that let alone the thought of it is real? Perhaps it is, but nothing being inside of an everything. Anyways, but everything is made up of tinier everythings and nothings, because if you view it as an enclosed system, essentially you can label everything that is whatever you want the thing to be in the system as everything, and the non-everything is nothing. So non-everything and an everything, but is there anything outside of the everything that doesn't exist? But if it doesn't exist, then it can't really be labeled as anything, meaning it can't even be labeled as a nothing. I'm just trying to think of this as a set theory kind of thing right now, but I'm getting sidetracked. Terry, everyone, infinite value, sung once, never again. But, yeah. This video started out as a tribute in a way to him, because I look up to him immensely, because I myself am a very passionate programmer. I've been doing it for the last 9 years. And I see myself doing it for my entire life, you know, and potentially there's a way I could come up with an algorithm, come up with a system, come up with something that can magically, you know, if I come up with a super intelligent AI, which is doubtful, but if it does happen, I feel like if I was able to talk to it, I feel like I could, you know, even if it brought about our entire destruction, I think if it was built in logic, it would be entirely, it would be perhaps, well, right and wrong. It's beyond good and evil. You know, it's beyond right and wrong. It's what, well, I guess what we all want collectively, perhaps, well, the collective subjectivity of everything, including the animals, all life. You know, if the computer, I don't know, the AI would be able to take into account all of that, what is the best for everything, perhaps that could lead the way, and perhaps it's all just one big myth of Sisyphus, and the best thing to do is just to do nothing. But I guess we won't find out unless we try. Like I said, it's what we do. Or at least what we call what we do, what we think we do. But I rest my case. The date is 1/26/2023. It is 7:05 p.m. This is, this is Hunter. Goodbye. Adios. I feel so silly whenever I say that at the end of vlogs, but I mean it. I am trying to just say this stuff in case I don't put labels on dates or whatever whenever I write or say stuff, so I like don't know when it was from. But anyways, you know. Yeah. Goodbye. And as an end note here, what I said at the beginning, where the images are still, the images are inanimate, the images, videos, just a collection of still images, a collection of noises from a ghost. But the memory of him, the memory of all of us, lives on forever even when there is no one left to remember. The fact that we existed, we are etched forever, outside of time, forever in an instant, forever and never, existing, gone, all at once.
So, well, it's good to be king. Wait, maybe. I think maybe I'm just like a little bizarre little person who walks back and forth. Whatever, you know. But